المصريات. And we start also our segment by paying condolences to the victims of yesterday's clashes that erupted on the sidelines of the league match, Egyptian league match between MP and Zamalek, and left many people dead. And we start with this piece of news, and we read at least 22 Egyptian football fans were killed and scores others injured on Sunday night when security forces barred them from entering the Air Defense Stadium when they were trying to infiltrate or to force themselves into the stadium. They tried to force their way into the stadium to watch a match in the local league. The Interior Ministry said in a statement that the huge numbers of Zamalek club fans known as the White Knights came to the stadium to attend the match and tried to storm its gate by force, which prompted the troops to prevent them from continuing the assault on the facility. Security sources said police used tear gas in the operation. Meanwhile, the cabinet held an urgent ministerial meeting headed by Prime Minister Ibrahim Mahlab and the attendance of the Minister of Interior, the Minister of Youth and Health, and the Governor of Cairo over the stadium clashes. For his part, the first Attorney General for Eastern Cairo, General Prosecution Mohammed Abdel Shafi, ordered a team of investigators to move to Zinham Morgue to inspect the causes of the death of those who were killed. The Prosecutor General ordered a wide-scale investigation into the incident and assigned a team of prosecution investigators to investigate the details of the clashes and move into hospitals to question the injured. Yesterday we have witnessed very unfortunate events, and it's very sad to be in black most of the time. We are seeing every week bloodshed. How do you see the scene?
I see that there is no real basis for a different state have been set. Until today, different very sad incidents happen. What happened yesterday was a massacre. Regardless to who committed, regardless to distributing the mistakes, sure. There have been grave mistakes, but have been killed around 20 persons. They were not armored. So many people came out, many media workers, which is really unfortunate, came out yesterday to blame actually the football fans. When it comes to killing, actually, the state is responsible. The state is responsible for this huge number. The state is responsible for approving this match despite the very clear disputes between Zamalek administration and the fans of the club, despite the way the tickets have been partially sold, and almost half of them have been distributed by orders. So the young people were really angry at the club and insisted to go to the match. I cannot only just be relaxed and blame the people who have been killed. Indeed. Those who have been killed has rights on this state. Even they have mistaken, by the way.
They were mistaken, of course, but still it's not a cause, of course.
It's not a cause for killing them. The cage that had been built in a very stupid way to allow people to go through, and then in this huge number it helped with sanitation. It was
I believe most of the cases after now they were preserved, they were suffocating. And Ms. Nafisa, to shed more light on the issue, we are joined over the phone by Dr. Ihab Youssef, the security expert. Dr. Ihab.
Good morning, ma'am.
Hello, good morning, Dr. Ihab. Dr. Ihab, how do you see yesterday's incidents or clashes that erupted on the sidelines of the match, which resulted in the death of almost 22 young people?
Look, it's a very sad story that the people were going to enjoy their time watching the match, and this incident happened. We all are really not feeling that it's a repetitive thing that has been upsetting all the Egyptians, and I think that, as you were just mentioning, it's an investigation, and the General early to decide on who was the cause of it. And at the same time, as you know, that the Prime Minister and the Cabinet yesterday decided on banning the football matches till further notice.
Dr. Rihan, how can we prevent these sad and violent incidents from occurring again? We have witnessed a few years ago also a massacre in the Port Said Stadium in which about 74 people were killed from Al Ahly fans. So we are seeing yesterday also a very sad incident. How can we prevent such incidents from occurring again?
I totally agree with you that we have to take lessons learned from what happened to us through the sad incident, and to prevent these things. It's not just security measures that have to be in place, so this is very important, but also risk analysis for what incidents are happening and what are expected things to be there. Other than things is to communicate to the youth. The youth has to be aligned with the government and has to be building for better Egypt, not to be against. And this doesn't come with the security measures. It comes with engaging the youth in our planning, in getting more involved with them, and through communicating with them in a better way. I think we have a gap in communication. This is 1 second. We need to do better risk analysis for what incidents we're going through to prevent such crisis from being existing.
Dr. Rehab Yusuf, the security expert, thank you very much for your input and for being with us on the breakfast show. Ms. Nafisa, before moving to our second topic, do you believe that now they decided to suspend the league for a while, and we have seen yesterday also the meeting by the Prime Minister with many ministers to discuss the issue. What measures should be taken in order to prevent such incidents from occurring again?
Actually, the decision to suspend the league is nothing. It will start again, and as long as we do not solve the problems, exactly. There is a sort of enmity between the football fans and the police. This is number one, and it has to be solved. It cannot be solved by preventing the fans from attending football matches.
More hostility and more anger.
It will continue and increase. It needs to be. We have witnessed so many matches recently in which the ultras actually abided to the regulations and the procedures. When the officials in this country had talked to them rationally and declared reasonable rules for everything. So they were committed to the regulations and the law, and no problems.
I believe that not the security situation is the answer. They have to meet and sit together in order to solve the core of the problems between the sides.
It's the regulations, clear regulations, clear rule, fair to all partners. It's not the solution at all to just to have to know that there are very grave mistakes have been committed by actually the administration of Zamalek camp that increased the anger inside the young people, and then you put the police in front of thousands of angry people, and the police actually, let's talk frankly, hate the ultras, and the ultras hate the police. So a massacre would be repeated again if you repeat the same mistake.
And we move to one of the main topics which were representing the headlines of many of today's newspapers, and it's of course the visit by Russian President Vladimir Putin to Egypt. The papers highlighted this issue, and we saw it from Al-Ahram. Moscow supports Cairo to complete its political system and renovate the economy. In an interview with the editor-in-chief of the paper, Putin says what is happening in Syria and Iraq is caused by the external interference and the dividing of terrorists to good and evil. Russian President Vladimir Putin begins a two-day visit to Egypt, his first in a decade, that aims to boost bilateral ties and discuss regional issues in light of the deteriorated situation in a number of countries that decided the international efforts to combat terrorism. Still with the same issue, and from a Masri view, Nasser started it, Sadat suspended it, and Sisi revived it. Moscow and Cairo, the duet of military cooperation and development. Russia Russian President Vladimir Putin. The top foreign policy advisor says Putin will likely discuss cooperation with Egypt in all fields during his visit to Cairo. And still with the same topic, and from Nafisa. Today, Putin arrives in Cairo and to be received by the Egyptian fighter jets. The Russian president visits the site of the new Suez Canal and an economic and military agreement between the two countries. Of course, today, Russian President Vladimir Putin is starting a two-day official visit to Egypt upon the invitation by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. How do you see this visit by the Russian president, the first in a decade, to Cairo?
I have a note first on our media reaction to what's happening. When you have an important incident or event or visit so it's not wise to overestimate it. It's part of what's happening, overestimating everything or underestimating things which makes people angry or not understanding what's happening or expecting so much. So when all what happens later is a couple of agreements, people would say, what is discuss about? Exactly. So we are over, as media, I'm not talking about the state right now, we are overestimating what's happening. We are making a very huge issue of that. To the point, yes, the Egyptian-Russian relations is very important and crucial in different files right now. We have to note that today's Russia is not the Soviet Union, and the Sisi is not Nasser. So there are some similarities, and there are some common interests between Egypt and Russia, especially in combating terrorism. So if we remember the creation of terrorism was in Afghanistan. It was actually created to confront the Soviet Union. So Russia had combated terrorism for a long time, even during the time when Egypt was part of sending people to fight in Afghanistan. So they understand it. So now it's a common fight between Egypt and Russia to combat terrorism, which most probably would be helpful to both countries if we have a common strategy, or both of them manage to unify the world or the international community into a unified strategy to combat terrorism all over the world, not in some region and leaving it in another region. So we have terrorism in Syria, we have terrorism in Iraq, still it is in Afghanistan and Pakistan, it's in Mali, it's everywhere now. It's almost everywhere. So if you combat terrorism somewhere, it would attack you in the other place. So this is a very important and crucial fight between the two countries.